Welcome back to another explainer. So, I want you to picture this. The lights are absolutely glaring down on the rainy pitch at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. The atmosphere, well, it's heavy. It's thick with anticipation, kind of like right before a massive storm breaks. Today, we're diving deep into a 2026 FIFA World Cup match that was entirely defined by incredibly high stakes and just pure, raw human emotion. We're talking about a match that literally gave us the fastest goal of the entire tournament, some seriously historic refereeing, and a penalty kick that stopped an entire nation's heart. But right off the bat, we have to start with a question. Why was South African midfielder Teboho Mokoena openly in tears during the national anthem? I mean, this is before the starting whistle even blew. It's super rare to see a player that emotionally overwhelmed before a ball is even kicked. To really understand what was going through his head, we have to look at exactly what was at stake here. Which brings us to our first section, the weight of the world. Because for both of these nations, this was an absolute do-or-die situation. Now, what's really fascinating here is the sheer crushing pressure both of these squads were under to keep their World Cup dreams alive. On one side, you've got Czechia. They came into this game completely desperate for a win after suffering a really tough 2-1 loss to South Korea. And then, on the flip side, South Africa was backed entirely into a corner. They were fighting for absolute survival after a brutal 2-0 defeat to Mexico. And honestly, that Mexico game was grueling. They suffered the total agony of picking up 2 red cards. And for South Africa, Bafana under coach Hugo Broos, the historical weight was just off the charts. This was their 4th World Cup appearance, right? But here's the kicker. In their entire history, they had never once reached the knockout stages. The whole nation was basically holding its breath, just praying this squad could finally break that long-standing curse. So with all that tension bubbling up, let's move to Section 2, a blistering 6th minute. Czechia's coach Miroslav Kubek demanded a fast start, and wow, did he get one? 5 minutes and 8 seconds. Think about that. Just 5:08 into the match, and that's all it took for Sadilek to unleash a clinical low drive straight past South African goalkeeper Ronwen Williams. In the literal blink of an eye, the entire dynamic of the game flipped upside down. And the build-up? Absolutely masterful. It was this rapid 3-step sequence that just carved right through the South African defense. First, Adam Holzig fires in this brilliant cross from the right side. Then, Alexander Sojka perfectly places a first-time cushioned layoff. It's beautiful. And finally, Mikhail Sadilek steps up, doesn't hesitate for even a microsecond, and bam, drives it straight into the net. 1-0 Czechia. And with that one strike, Sadilek actually cemented his name in the 2026 World Cup history books. Check this out. He beat the previous fastest goal record, which was held by Germany's Felix Nmecha at 5 minutes and 16 seconds, by a razor-thin margin of just 8 seconds. It officially became the fastest goal of the entire tournament. But as we'll see in Section 3, the frustration of Patrick Schick, those aggressive attacks slowly morphed into a really wasteful, super frustrating afternoon for Czechia. Because, Czechia's inability to actually finish their chances would soon come back to haunt them. Just look at this list of missed opportunities. Right out of the gate, literally 50 seconds in, Patrick Schick sends a completely free header wide. Then, right after halftime in the 48th minute, Dorita takes a heavy touch and totally ruins an unmarked chance right in the box. And seconds later, Schick gets another header from a corner, but puts it straight at the keeper. It just became this agonizing, recurring pattern. Now, the flip side of that is while Czechia was wasting these golden chances left and right, South African keeper Ronwen Williams was standing tall. He made critical save after critical save to keep his team breathing, including this incredible moment where he tips over a massive, long-range rocket from Lucas' serve. As anyone who watches football knows, if you don't convert your chances, you are leaving the door wide open for your opponent. Which brings us to our massive second-half turning point, Section 4, the 21-year-old spark. Coach Hugo Broos made a halftime substitution that entirely shifted the momentum on the pitch. He brought on 21-year-old Relebohile Mofokeng, and let me tell you, this kid instantly injected life into the South African attack. He was bringing fresh dribbles, incredibly fast runs, just dynamic movement everywhere. And by the 75th minute, he was already finding space and testing Czech keeper Kovar with a shot that forced a really crucial save. The tension was building. And that brings us to Section 5, the climax. We are in the final stretch. South Africa is pushing so hard, and you can see that solid Czech defense starting to bend. Everything comes down to the 83rd minute, the defining call, the moment where the entire stadium goes completely silent. Okay, so here is how this total chaos unfolds in the box. South Africa's Teboho Mokoena unleashes this long-range shot. It's rocketing toward the goal and it strikes the arm of Czechia defender Pavel Scholz. Now, is it inadvertent? Yes, probably, but his arm is clearly out of position. The referee doesn't hesitate. She points straight to the penalty spot and VAR confirms it right away. And who steps up to take the shot? Teboho Mokoena. Remember those tears during the national anthem? Well, all of that raw emotion is channeled right into this single, solitary kick. The stadium is dead quiet. He takes his run-up and buries a confident, low drive right into the bottom left corner. Kvaras dives the totally wrong way. It's 1-1. Mokoena just erupts. He rips off his jersey in this roaring explosion of absolute relief and pure joy as his entire team just swarms him. Later on in the post-match interviews, Mokoena dedicated this massive equalizer to his late grandfather. Talk about bringing those pre-match tears completely full circle, right? He told reporters, "I know wherever he is, he would be proud of me. I just felt his presence in that moment." Honestly, it is arguably the most emotional individual moment of the 2026 World Cup. You literally cannot script this kind of narrative. But before we wrap up, we have to talk about Section 6, making history, because this match broke barriers beyond just the players on the pitch. The official who made that absolutely critical penalty call, that was Tori Penzo, and she made history in this game by becoming the very first American woman and only the second woman ever to referee a men's World Cup match. It was just a monumental step forward for gender equality in football, and it added this incredible layer of significance to an already unforgettable game. Finally, let's look at Section 7, Group A, blown open. Let's talk about the aftermath. So, this dramatic 1-1 draw perfectly sets up final day drama. Just look at these standings. Mexico is sitting pretty comfortably with 6 points. They're already qualified. South Korea is sitting at 3 points. But down at the bottom, you've got Czechia and South Africa both stranded at 1 point, barely kept alive by this exact result. Meaning, on the final day, with Czechia facing Mexico and South Africa facing South Korea, both of these teams are in an absolute, desperate, must-win scenario to have any hope of qualifying. So I'll leave you with this. In a tournament defined by lightning-fast goals and heart-wrenching emotional penalties, who is actually going to survive the beautiful chaos of Group A? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Definitely let me know what you think. Was Sadilek's record-breaking goal more memorable, or Mokoena's emotional penalty? And hey, make sure you stick around, because next time we are breaking down Switzerland's massive 4-1 victory over Bosnia, where 3 late substitutes completely flipped the game on its head. Until then, keep learning and keep watching.